world. This is Daniel Garcia, the host of this podcast, One Till Finish. When you start something, with that one, you will finish. And today I have my friend, my sister, Sarah. How are you today, Sarah?
I'm doing good, Daniel.
You ready to get to Sam?
That's it.
We've been trying and now we're here. We're doing this all for y'all. So she's here to talk about her life story, and she also had a near-death experience. So a near-death experience it's an out-of-body experience. Some people think it's like going to heaven. Some people say they go to a dark place. But we're gonna find out, where did Sarah go. So let's start off that baby story you were talking about.
Okay, so there is when my mom was actually had me in the wound. I suppose there was like an argument with my father, whatever it might have been. But the fact is that she was hovering over herself, protecting her wound and herself in kind of like a defeatist position, while my father was actually manifesting and just kicking me in the stomach and hurting the both of us and so forth. And well, we both got through it, I suppose, because I'm here.
Yeah, she is. She's present. Saying a ghost.
The Holy Ghost.
Yeah. So you want to get into now your teen years?
My teen years were a little rough. I was somewhat rebellious, not in ways where I actually was like a misfit or like just overruling my mom and so forth. It was just didn't really felt like I was being understood. Felt like an oddball. I was very creative as a kid, so that kept me busy with school. Where I was in high school, and I was in the school yearbook, journaling. I was in the school newspaper, so that always kept me up. I've managed to actually live with anxiety and depression. That was what I lived that way, thinking that was normal, which wasn't. Now that I'm been getting healthy and so forth, so I did go through all that.
Did you ever try to like hurt yourself in your teen years?
I did. I just didn't really feel like I wanted to live any longer, and I just remember just feeling gloomy and sad all the time, and I just remember just like getting a handful of like, aspirin, and I gobbled them up and, washed it down with water and so forth. And thankfully I had, my uncle, then he and I are very close in age. We're 4 months apart, and he was there living with us at the time. And he came and seen that I was distorted and off a little and so forth. And he asked me, "What did you do? What did I do?" I'm like, I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to be in this earth any longer. And I mentioned that I had swallowed all those pills, and he helped me gag and throw all that out. So I was able to, just be okay with it. We never really even told my mother. It was something that he and I kept. So
you're telling us it's a story on One Till Finish first before anybody else?
Yeah.
It's a life story.
That is a life story.
Yeah.
It's kind of like confession.
Yeah, that's what we do. We bring it out of people.
Right.
For our benefit and your guys' benefit.
Right.
All right, so now what about that quinceañera story you're talking about?
So my quinceañera was, first of all, I didn't want a huge party that is known in the Spanish culture and so forth, and just knowing that, we were all gathered there and so forth, and there was just disputes, arguments that had occurred and so forth, and all of a sudden you just hear gunshots, and my family and my friends and the ones that were invited were scattering everywhere, and all I can remember is just being upset because how dare somebody just ruin my party. And I just remember like flipping tables and just not wanting to be there, but just upset over the whole thing. And didn't even like grasp that there was actually overall bullets being thrown everywhere. So
You were that angry, huh?
I was an angry child. I was an angry teen. You know, I just didn't really understand myself, nor did I understand people. I just didn't, was in my room most of the time, just feeling angry. And that was my story then.
So now let's get into it. Is there a life after death?
There, with that intended, yes, there is. So
Explain to the world.
I was pregnant with my son. I was 25 at the time, and I wasn't doing really well in the pregnancy. The pregnancy was it was a very I was always nauseous, and it was always it was just uncomfortable being pregnant. And I just remember the night before feeling not myself, and my son not being himself, because he was a very active kid in my womb and so forth, and asking my mom to take me to the hospital and so forth, and knowing they were monitoring and so forth, and checking my vitals and so on, and they submitted me into the hospital, and they started to see that that I had walking pneumonia, and that my son's umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck, and it was very crucial to actually get both of us just overall just being safe. And all I can remember is just having like the nurses and a doctor involved, and the nurses going in and out of the room, checking my vitals, checking my son's vitals and so forth. And I just remember they took me into a separate room while they were prepping me for surgery, and the doctor saying, "Sarah, you're very sick. This is very, very, we're going to take this very, very serious right now. You need to take this very serious." And I remember him having a moment into talking to my mom, and I could see that there was something going on because of my mom's reaction. And I can remember, now that I remember, thinking about it, my mom stepped over, and she almost fell back because of the news that the doctor was telling her. And she told me this years after that the doctor had mentioned that, who were you going to save? Were you thinking, were you going to save your daughter, or are you going to save your son, your grandson? And my mom chose both. She did not want to choose either one. She told the doctor, choose both my babies are going to live.
That's right. And she's still here.
Yeah.
And now what happened after all this?
So as they were actually prepping me, we were going into the surgical room where they were prepping me, and as they were prepping me, I remember the anesthesiologist was telling me to count down. And I was counting down. I can't remember even if it was seconds. I just remember just counting backwards, and I went into this white room. It was there was silence, and I remember this glowing, illuminating essence coming down from afar, and it got closer and closer, and I noticed it was an angel, and there was no words exchanged. I remember that it was peaceful in all that she had done, and I knew that she was a woman because she had feminine features, but all that she did was extend her hand out, and I just immediately just felt the trust to just extend my hand out and go with her, and we left in a different dimension, I suppose, because we went in so far up so quickly.
Did you feel like you were going down, or did you feel like you were going up?
I was going up so quickly, kind of like beam me up, Scotty, from Star Trek, or
not Star Trek.
Yeah, but
it was Back to the Future.
Back to the Future, whatever it was.
Beam me up, Scotty. Yeah.
But it was that moment where it was so speedy, such a flash, that we just went up to the point where I look down and I see my body in itself, like still, in the on the bed, and just continue going to where I was being led to until I actually was at this, more peaceful environment where it was. I can't really mention like if it was actually like a white room. It was just a very peaceful.
It was like a vast area, just straight open.
It was just an open space. Like I don't want to say that it was. It was probably a different dimension.
Yeah.
But I just know that I was still
third heaven, possibly.
Most likely, because I'm still here.
Yeah.
But I just remember just hearing a voice and knowing that it was the Lord speaking over me, and I just remembered that it was an understanding. I could hear the voice, and I thought it was a dream, now that I kind of see it now, but he was literally telling me that that it wasn't my time. That it was in my time that that I wasn't meant to go and leave this earth. But he wasn't gonna let neither my son nor my siblings be orphans. So at the time, my mom was so emotional and so forth that I know that I remember having this conversation where the Lord wasn't going to accept that the fact that I was going to leave this earth, because my mother was actually so emotional that she could have probably left us as well. So moments after that, I remember it could have been moments, it could have been hours, it could have been seconds, but I just know that I was in that presence, beautiful essence of the presence that I was in, and I just remember
How did it make you feel? Like whatever state of being you were at that moment up there, how did it make you feel?
It was peaceful. It was peaceful. I felt
like peace that we have here on earth, or just unworldly.
It's a different type of peace. I just remember hearing angels singing and praising in the background, and knowing that that I was in a safe place. So I didn't feel any agony or bitterness or anger or anything like that. I just felt like I was having a conversation with our papa, and before I knew it, I was right back into my body, and I was touching my face and my body in itself, and then I remembered, where's my kid? Where's my son?
So backtrack just a little before coming back into your body. Did you feel when you were up there? Did you feel like ultimate love, or did it just feel like like anything?
Well, I did feel the love of the Lord. I did feel that an understanding of, the bliss and the joy and the love that He had for me, because He had more in store for me, I suppose.
And did He tell you an assignment when He put you back in your body, or like you came back in your body? Or you didn't conversate that long?
I didn't conversate that long. I think it was too sudden, where He just said, it's not your time. And
you heard him, you heard the Creator say it's not your time?
Yes, He said that it's not your time. I remember Him saying that I had more to do for Him here on earth, and He put me back in my body, and that's what I remember.
Nice. All right, you can continue with the story now.
So
now that you're back in your body.
I was back in my body, and I was calling out to the nurses, "Where's my son? Where's my son?" And they had mentioned, "Well, don't worry. Your son is with your mother, and you'll soon see them then." And that's all I remember, from that instinct. And I never spoke about that. Because I don't know if anyone would have understood that. But from then on, I remember just having more visitations, hearing God more, but also not understanding. Did
you feel like you got any like different callings on your life when you came down? Because I remember we had mentioned that you could see in the spirit also.
Yeah, I became more sensitive with like feeling and having more empathy and sympathy towards other. And yes, I would see things more in more in the spirit, where I didn't really know God the way I know now, and I would see more of both, where I would see the unseen realm, where you know there's demons and the angels and so forth, and that was quite scary because I didn't know how to activate and know my giftings, but I know I do know that I had already had, just overall I was hearing the Lord well, and I was also seeing in the spirit. And those are the things I do
Can you give
remember.
us one bad story and one good story about seeing in the spirit? Start with the bad first, obviously.
Um, I just remember just being really intense, where I would ask the Lord, and I'm like, this is a lot for me to like grasp, because there's times that I could see the manifestations of the characteristics of things that were bothering people, whether it was anger or just they're just overall the things that were the attachments, and I could see that they kind of just like they follow you. And I could see how even like how when people would have drink alcohol, those were when the most of the manifestations would I could see more of that. And that's as much as I can remember. And but then I would see living at the time where I was going through all that, I didn't really understand it very well. So it was kind of scary because no one taught me what I was seeing, and that was normal. So I never really talked about it with anyone until I remember just getting dreams from the Lord and showing me to find like Holy Spirit led churches. And even where I was even asking any kind of faithful, like, preachers and even priests, because I was trying to find my spirituality and understanding, like, what is it that I'm seeing, and actually sitting them down and literally taking over the conversation. And they obviously didn't understand because they weren't like led by those giftings and so forth. So
Yeah.
that's what I remember.
And what about what would be a positive outlook on it now, like that you could see in the spirit?
Well, I do know now that you're gifted your spiritual giftings from God, and you have to do God's work, and you have to you know let people know that God is real. And I know now that I have what I have now. It was He who's gifted me. I could be of use for others to actually get freedom from anxiety and from depression and suicidal thoughts and anything that had to do with that, because I those are the things that I struggle as a child and as a kid and even a young adult and so forth, until I actually got healing and deliverance from.
And where do you see your life headed now?
Well, now I see myself as being a faithful steward, where I want to help others get out of whatever their confrontational things, with things that they're just being held back from. And I want to be able to like help with the homelessness, and I want to help like women that the overall people that need a second chance. I want to help the single moms get through things, and know that through me speaking this can actually help somebody that's struggling now. And I know that this is something that maybe help others achieve that healing through this podcast, I
Yeah, it's
suppose.
like anxiety and depression are lies, right?
Right.
And that's what you had to go through all of that you went through just to finally realize they're just lies. They're not our reality. It's as a man thinks, they will be. So if the enemy got you thinking that you're fearful all day, that's what you're going to live. But when you listen to people's testimonies like this, then you can get free because you can finally realize it's just a lie, right?
Right.
So as of that, what's your next goal in life? What are you going to accomplish next?
My goal is actually to have feed the hungry and possibly even have like a soup kitchen and just build people up, the ones that are been kicked down, and give them a second chance, maybe even a third chance, and so forth, and help them get back on their feet because they're just wounded and they're misunderstood, just like how I was as a child and so forth. And I also want to help because my mother was a single mom. I want to help single moms, break those barriers that they feel like they're hopeless, that there's nothing there for them, or they can't continue on because they have children and there's no one's out helping them out. I just want to have like a safe haven for them where I'm able to just have a mission where, a prayer group, possibly even having like a home for them, to provide them that there is something better, that their circumstance that they're in now does not define what they're going to be like in the future, because there's so much more to life than just that instant and that circumstance. There is more to that, and there's people that are willing to help people get it out of that rut, I suppose. Yeah. So those are my most important things that I wanna do in this lifetime. I want to be able to be a good steward and a good faithful servant for the Lord.
Yeah. So you just want to continue in spreading His love, right?
Yeah, I just wanna be just a loving person and walk in love and just be as understanding as I can for others that are in need and so forth.
Yeah. So I want to say thank you for joining the podcast.
Thank you very much.
And if everyone liked it, we got a little bit more for a next episode.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be the next episode. We're just saying that for the future, she can come on because she got other stories. So, guys, I could tell you guys, thank you so much for tuning on. Like I told you guys in the intro, I am so grateful for all you guys. I love you guys. And until the next adventure, we'll see you again. Yeah. But remember to like and subscribe because we need to go in the upward motion. Mm-hmm. Until then, bye.
Bye.
All right, we're done. That was good.